Welcome to another episode of Backroom Beats. I'm Lamar Harris hanging out with CJ Conrad for this wonderful episode. And as always, we thank you for lending us an ear. And before we get started, make sure you subscribe to all the channels. Make sure you follow us on social media. Follow the links on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're on Anchor, definitely follow us with the descriptions in the links below. They'll be listed in the profile. And right now, I'm excited to get to our wonderful guest who hails from the wonderful city of Detroit. And he's a wonderful musician, keyboardist, composer, arranger. I want to say he probably is dabbling in the filmmaking right now and not telling nobody, but he is a great all-around brother, a good educator, a good person, and we're excited to have no other than the legendary Zoe with us today. What's going on, man?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good. So what you been up to?
Staying in the house, wearing my mask, making sure others wear theirs, and once we were able to finally come steady, because I like everybody else was hit with this pretty much overnight, and it took us off the road, it took us off of our regularly scheduled programs. So once we were able to kind of level out just on a life perspective, I was able to get into the studio and start back work on a couple of projects here and there. So it's been a challenge. Like all of 2020 was a challenge. So I'm just looking now to kind of springboard off of that. I see what happens in 21.
I figure. How did you just keep your, I know with a lot of different artists, man, it's just been a mental challenge, just trying to just find inspiration, dealing with stuff going on in just the household. If you got kids, I know you've been trying to get away from wife, kids, even some people trying to get rid of their dog, it's like, I'm not used to being at the house so much. So it's like, what have you been doing to just keep your mental state just going so you can create?
Well, in the beginning, it was all streaming, movies, documentaries, all the liquor, all the edibles. That was kind of the thing, because it was like, nobody knows where to go. Like nobody knows what nobody knows. Like you go on Facebook and it looked like an obituary. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a heavy toll. Like the first couple of months was a pretty heavy toll. Not only mentally, but financially, and all that stuff. But now it's kind of flipped to where it's like, let me undo all the damage that I did to myself with the liquor and the edibles, and flipping it around now, and just kind of making myself more productive, pretty much here in the studio, and with working out, and getting out to walk, and that type of thing, so that the pandemic. For me was really like kind of a self-audit, just trimming the fat off of a lot of things. And I'm not even necessarily talking about people, just kind of getting in and you're at the house, so you're able to reevaluate literally everything. So, right. You're able to reevaluate your finances. Like, why are they looking like this? And you're able to reevaluate, your health and go get checked up on and all that kind of stuff, and then make adjustments that way. So I think that I know for me it was it's horrible, and we all tired of it, man. Like we all tired of being in the house and seeing folks act stupid and have all these super spreader events and all this kind of stuff, which is another reason why we're staying off the road. Like I don't want anybody to be like, yo man, I got COVID at Zoe's show, at Zoe and Carmen's show, anything like that. So, right. I don't want to put my own people at risk with that. So just trying to find different avenues to kind of steer clear of that and continue to until it's safe.
Right. And I feel you. Our biggest challenge was trying to keep the Home Depot card from running up. I know when this first started, everybody was like laying at Home Depot building everything. And so I'm like,
Home Depot and that grocery store.
Oh yeah, liquor store stayed knew everybody on name. It's sad when the neighborhood liquor store like offering like cards now. You can just come in, you can just buy so much and you can get like half off of your next purchase. Like, when y'all start doing that?
They know what they're doing,
right? Man, but you seem like you've been like staying busy, like musically, like still putting out a lot of good stuff, man. I'm excited by some of the couple of projects that I know that you got coming out in 21.
Yes.
Namely with my favorite friend in the world. I'm a little biased. I love Cy Smith.
Word, yeah. Well, me and Cy have been making music since 2008, and we before me and Carmen used to hit the road. Me and Cy would hit the road, and we stopped off in St. Louis a couple times at the what's it called, Lola.
Yeah.
And
that's the one.
Yeah. And so, she and I have always had a really tight musical chemistry, to where, it's very, very easy to work with her. I can just send her music and not even have to tell her what I want. Like, she already, like, whatever she does, it's almost like, man, that's exactly what I wanted. So, it was just time, and I know where I am in my career and my journey musically. I didn't want to release another compilation styled album, just to kind of change up things. So I wanted to kind of go the EP route. So I wanted to release different EPs, like focused on, particular artists. So I have one coming out with, like you said, with Cy Smith, and another one coming out with my man, Tall Black Guy.
Yeah.
Who, we were also pretty much kindred spirits in the studio. There's a video that I actually just posted yesterday for his birthday, with he and I doing kind of demoing Step Up Front off of Forefront.
Wow. And
it's just a huge, and like that video was like our second time in the studio, our second time working together, and it was just it was crazy how it all worked out. So we were pretty much in here probably twice a month before he moved to Cleveland.
Oh wow.
Because he was living 20 minutes from me. I'm in Silver Spring, Maryland, so he was like 20 minutes from me, and like he would just come through, and then we get started like 10, 11 o'clock, and we work until I'd have to pick my daughter up at school. So I'm kind of focusing on folks I have like just heavy musical relationships with, and maybe pull out a couple surprises too here pretty soon as well.
Man, that's what's up. What's the workflow like between the two of y'all, man? Because I know that's just got to be just like all kind of like good collaboratory energy going around with like samples, beats, and just recreating stuff. So like, what's
usually Tall Black will come up with drum pattern. Like he's like drum master. So I'll let him do his thing with that, and I'll be like, yo, if I hear something, I'm like, yo, what was that? Yo, can you loop that one time and do blah blah blah, and then he'll loop it and then stack like 4 or 5 different things on it. And I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy. And then from there, like I will kind of take the lead as far as like, chord structure or, where the music will go. And then, from there, he'll probably, connect the chord mini log and, kind of take it from there too. Sometimes it's like me kind of, going where it needs to go with the music. And sometimes it's both of us. Like he'll do the drums, I'll come up with the chords, and then, he'll follow me on either the chord or like the Nord, and, we'll record it that way. So, it's some mad scientist shit going on here and there. But, it's again, like it's a unspoken thing. Like it's really difficult to explain, but when you have someone who like already understands your musicality and your direction, most of the time it's like you really don't. I have the same relationship with Fonte. I mean, he and I have been working together since 2006. So like, right. A lot of times when when I send him something and he calls me back and he was like, "But I hear this," and I'm like, "I knew you did," because that's exactly what I was gonna say, but I had to say it. You know what I mean? So it's like. It's already it seems like it's already written with these cats.
Wow, that's what's up. It's just kind of like I said, it's been crazy. I know, like with the whole touring and like everything is just at a pause. Like with 21, like I guess, with a lot of venues like closing down and some now reopening, where do you see like the whole scene for like the type of music that you guys create? Like where do you find, how do you think the scene is going to kind of like be when this stuff kind of opens back up with the remaining places that are going to still be open?
Man, I honestly don't know, because at this point it's really just a crapshoot with everything not being open and no shows happening. It's like, by the time everything is open, these places will have had to have maintained their rent, their utilities, and all this stuff for a solid 2 years at that point.
Right.
Because I mean, we're creeping up on a year here in March, and it's. I don't see any shows in 2021, so not anything as far as what we're used to. Maybe something where it's like 50 people in there, and it's everybody's masked up and everybody's tested and everybody's where it's like really strict. Right. But yeah, like I really don't know, man. And that's kind of the scary part, and that's like what I was saying in those first couple months. That's why a lot of us were just down, like really down and depressed, and just sleeping all day and that type of thing, because it's still, here we are in January 2021, and we still don't know. Like, I think New Zealand has opened back up, like they're good now.
Yeah,
and it's like it's frustrating too, because it's like I this country's very stupid. And
that's an understatement.
The three of us know very well that if all you have to do is this, and it's very this, and it's simple, and it's following this protocol, and it's really strange when protocols need to be followed when we're getting arrested, but when it's time to wear that mask, the goalposts move a little bit. You know what I mean?
So it changes lanes.
Yeah, man. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, but more so frustrating. So with all that said, like I really don't know. I haven't really done a virtual performance myself, just because it's hard to duplicate that energy.
Right.
And I do miss the stage somewhat, but I am also kind of enjoying this break from it as well, from the road. Because I mean, we've been on the road since like 2008.
Wow. And
this has really been the only time that we've been able to kind of sit back and actually pause and get to reevaluate some stuff. So, when it opens back up, we'll be ready. But as of right now, like we're just trying to find a different path just in case. Fontaine, I just finished music for the second season of Sherman Showcase. So I'm hoping like, more things in that lane, just releasing more music and just, like I said before, just keeping our people safe, man. And, making sure nobody has to go through that.
So your music, what I love about it so much is that you can tap into a specific time period. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I think the first season of Sherman Showcase really epitomized that. Like if it was in a certain decade, y'all hit that, y'all nailed it. Time Loop is still my joint.
Word.
But like, is it just growing up with that music that allows you to do it like that, or do you have to study it to really say, okay, I know what I'm doing for this?
It's a little bit of both. Just because, again, the three of us know, like growing up when we grew up, hip hop and R&B wasn't always the main thing. And a lot of times with our parents, when they grew up listening to a lot of different type of things. So, being able to kind of tap into that and even if it's something I'm not really, really familiar with, I'm like, okay, but I can still remember a certain song or two to where I can kind of reference, that particular sound or that particular genre. And the thing that I love about doing Sherman Showcase is that it gives us an opportunity to really just stretch out. And like, we're doing everything from meter style stuff to trap stuff to, '80s funk and electro stuff. And we're doing even more on the second season. So it's like, it's dope when I hear somebody talking about a song like Drop It Low for Jesus and they had no idea that me and Fonte touched it. Like, it's like, to me, I'm kind of sitting in the corner like, word up. Like, the job is done here, because, that can easily be, somebody else. And that's a perfect compliment, as well as it is a compliment where somebody's like, I can tell that you played keys on this. Like, that's an ultimate compliment to me. But it's also complimentary to me when someone is like, damn, I had no idea that you did, time loop. Well, time loop is more my style, but like, even the Sherman Showcase theme songs and stuff like that. And it's just fun. Like, it's almost a musical flex, I guess you could say. Where it's just like, yo, you got all of this different type of music coming from two guys.
And that's what I was gonna, I guess, kind of lead with. Like, are you like still kind of throwing your hat in the ring to like score some films? I would love to see you like score something like the Blade movie. As crazy as that sounds, man. I would love to see that.
Absolutely. Like, film scoring is basically a dream of mine. It's something where, and I got a taste of it with a couple of different documentaries, and the latest one being The Takeover, with my folks in Chicago, my people Digifay, the same cats who did Making Sky Break. They were commissioned to do a film on the 1968 takeover of the administrative building on Northwestern University's campus, and they hit me up to do the score. I did the full score, the dramatic scenes, like all of that different type of stuff. Like, this is stuff that not even as a kid, but more as an adult, to where it's just like, when you've toured and you've been on the road and you've been away from your child and that type of thing, and it's like, yo, I would love to have something where I can get paid even more on time with no pushback and all that kind of stuff while I'm here at home. And scoring is that. And just, the challenge of it, the matching the moods. And, for that one in particular, they were like, I need you to make music as if you were making music in 1968. I was like, oh, okay. Never really done that before. Wow. So, I made a 1968 playlist of, all James, all meters, that warm, that funk feeling and that type of thing. And the hugest compliment I got was Daphne Maxwell Reid was there, because she was involved in the documentary, because she was one of the students who was involved in the takeover. She and Tim Reed were at the screening, and I'm there on Northwestern's campus, and I'm sorry, it was in downtown Chicago, and she was like, "Yo, who did the music? Like, who did that music?" And blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Oh, word!" And we ended up conversing, and for like a half hour, and like, she was just super cool, but I'm just like, for that music to have touched someone who came up in that era, to evoke that type of emotion, like, that was price of admission for me. Like, I was good after that. You couldn't really tell me nothing.
That's what's up. And yeah, if Kevin Feige, if you're listening, you know what to do. Pull the trigger. Eyes up.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to score more. Absolutely.
So when you're scoring, are you still pretty much doing everything like you kind of do for your own stuff?
Yes.
Wow.
For that in particular, like, all the drum programming, all of the instruments, with the exception of, I think, a couple of them I needed like some horns on, which I called my man Sax Appeal back in Detroit, my director, called him to get some stuff on there. But other than that, yeah, I was doing everything, all of the instruments on it.
Do you actually orchestrate for strings too?
Especially when you're trying to do stuff that's reminiscent of the meters, I'd imagine.
Yes, yeah. Which the meters is crazy. The Meters is one of my favorite groups of all time. Just off of feel and pocket and just basement dirty funk. And you hear that, and on paper it's like, okay, it's about three pieces. It's drums, guitar, bass. But there's a reason that the Meters sound like the Meters. And I found that out real quick trying to, redo their drums and that. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like that was one I really had to study the drum patterns and see like, why is this sounding like this? And this emphasis goes here and how much is this? And, to even get that pocket that they had and still have to make it that ridiculous and that type of, to match that feel.
Yeah. Do you actually like orchestrate like string parts too? Like if you like score stuff for like a whole orchestra? Have you ever gotten a chance to do anything like that yet?
I wish I did. I didn't do it for that. Like I did string parts and stuff like that, but it was all through like plug-in stuff through the keys. Now on upcoming stuff, I will have string work and things like that. I won't say anything else. I didn't compose it, but having strings done on your music is an out-of-body experience. I challenge you to have it done and not do like this. Like I challenge you. It's a whole nother just dimension that is added to music, and I wish it wasn't so expensive, because it is very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Process, but because if it wasn't, I'd be having strings on everything. I'd do a children's jingle, I'd have strings on that, man. Like it opens up heaven's door on your music. Like it's really, really ridiculous, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm now excited because I feel like we just quietly got an exclusive we can't talk about.
Right, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what project to be looking for now.
One of these projects is gonna have strings on it live.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Is there anybody that you're looking forward to outside of like some of the normal people that you've had a chance to work with in 21 that you just haven't got a chance to just reach out to yet, but if the chance comes, you gonna run for it?
I'd always had the door open to work with Faith Evans. Always would want to work with Layla. Also Alex Isley. That would be dope, I think, too.
I'm here for all three of those.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. What type of vibe would you do with Faith?
Interesting. I don't even know. I would kind of put the ball in her court and just be like, yo, like, you the legend, dog. So like, what do you need? Like, what do you need? What do you feel? It would be even better to work, I think, in person, to kind of do something from scratch rather than, I got this and, send it over, so it can really truly be collaborative. But I'm good with it either way. I would love to do a slow jam with it though. I think that shit would be crazy.
Have you ever done like a whole slow jam album completely from like nothing but slow jams? It's just like
no, I haven't, and the only reason I haven't is just because of album dynamics. Like I wouldn't want to keep everything at like 75 BPM and below, just because I wouldn't want to put folks to sleep or have folks thinking that they're just this is a vibe and that's it. I wanted there to be some jams on it too. So.
And most of the trap stuff is like 75, 78. May get to 81 if you're lucky, but
right. And it's a time and a place, because I'm here for some trap shit too. But just not. I always feel like for me and my projects, I think that you're going to get a full album to where I'm touching on different things, and that includes tempo. So.
That's what's up. Just out of curiosity.
I'm wondering right now, because now I'm thinking about all like your whole discography, because I'm like, there's always that one baby making jam on every album, I swear. And it's just like, wow. The more I think about it, just like, yeah, you really do tend to run the gamut on each project. And I'm wondering to myself, when you make a project, are you thinking about the diversity of vibes? Are you thinking about the playability of it on the road? What stuff is going through your head when you're deciding what stuff you want to put on an album?
Yes, to everything. Just as far as like, if we have an album, let's say I need like 2 more or something like that, and I'm down to picking or kind of aiming at what to create or whatever. And if there's a Make Love to Me on there already, I'm not gonna make another slow jam. So let's do something, more up tempo. I think the main thing that I think about when creating is like how it'll sound live. Mm-hmm. I think even before the album comes out, like I'm thinking of how we're gonna present it on stage. I think that's pretty much the main things. I mean, and just making a complete album. Like we don't come from a generation of singles. Like we come from a generation of full albums. And I know one of my first mediums was 8-track and cassette, and it's like you can't play that mug all the way through. It's like, what's the point? Right. So even with having a CD player and having the forward button and the skip button and all that stuff, like we don't want no skips. So, just thinking about it in a full, just encompassing project. And also kind of limiting the time as well, because, we don't want to make shit that's too long and drawn out. I think that particularly FE Music, myself, Fonte, and Nick, like, we kind of cap it at a certain minute mark just to kind of leave y'all wanting more.
And y'all do.
Yeah.
For real. Let me ask you this. Have you ever, because you did say that you think about the live aspect of it, have you ever produced yourself into a corner where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to redo this shit live?
That's a good question. The only one I felt like that on, I think on the last album, was maybe like Love Up, just because there's so many different layers on it. And I remember even recording it like, I don't know how the fuck this is going to happen. But I think like, because even the drum pattern is strange. I was like, our drummer's going to be able to recreate this. And, of course, I mean, the drummers, it came out no problem. I mean, the few times that we did actually perform it, or actually get to perform it, I should say, it came out big and all that kind of, but I think that was the only one. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering right, it was Love Up. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, everything should be pretty straightforward.
I have so many other questions I just want to ask, and I want to ask, but I ain't going to drain you too much, because I feel like, what you guys on the docket for 2022? I know you got something planned.
Man, trying to ride out 2021.
Listen.
Make sure this money is still coming in, and make sure this music is staying top quality, and man, just checking up on your people, and making sure that the merch store is staying nice and up to date and full of new stuff. And because I mean, that's been, shout out to everybody who's been shopping, because that merch store has kept me kind of afloat through this pandemic, because I don't have a 9-to-5, so it's.
But you keep your merch popping, though. That's one thing I have noticed, is that you keep finding things that's like, I need that too. I want that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I read the liner notes with the hoodies, the masks, I'm like, you keep it where people almost have to buy something, I swear.
Man, and it's so dope, man. Like, when folks say that, they be like, oh man, you about to have me just hand me your check. And I'm just like, I just, as a creator, like, it doesn't stop in the studio. Like, you have to just let's keep it on all facets. And I think that shouts again to Cy Smith, like she's a master at that. Like, that's really her thing. And she and I, will randomly text each other like, yo, where'd you get your mugs done at? Yo, where did you get your mask done at? Just kind of trade information and things like that. Cause I mean, that's we go back, man. So, it's no ceilings here. Like, if you people, we help out. So it's really dope. Even outside of the studio, the relationship that she and I have, even in just in that aspect as well.
She was one of the first people that I saw actually like do a virtual concert. Like I think we weren't even like all the way done with March, and she's like, "Hey, virtual concert going live in like 3 days." I was like, "Dang!" Like she don't play with it, you know?
Yeah.
No, and she's been on it like consistently. I think she just did one right before New Year's. So
Right.
Yeah.
you know, she's been, you know, every other day, every day. Like she's in the forefront of something. Like it's really, really dope to see, man. Like someone like myself, like I barely feel like getting in front of the camera. So
Oh, she over there shooting movies, her and her husband.
man, and I love it. I love it. Like she's gonna bring me out of my shell when we release our music. I'm gonna be all over.
Wow. I didn't think about that. Yeah, 'cause she is gonna make you stretch on that. Yes, she is.
They're gonna have you doing a live action scenes though. They riding down the highway.
That's why I'm trying to get back in shape right now, bro. I'm trying to get all these baked goods above me, man, so I can be right.
Man. How do you feel like important that is for just artists to like just be planning ahead to have that residual type of income coming in, you know, especially like during this time and going into the future?
It's 100% important just because of the instability of everything, and that's not even us as artists. That's people with full-time jobs. It's like, you know, folks are getting laid off left and right, and stuff is closing, and you don't know what's going to remain. And, you know, you've got stuff I'm seeing people in different cities who are losing, you know, cornerstones of their cities during this pandemic. It's almost like I was telling one of my homeboys the other day, it's almost like this pandemic is like a filter or something like that that's just coming in, and, you know, you have to survive the filter. You know, it's taking out stores, it's taking people out, it's taking relationships out. You know, like you said earlier, people, you know, you're stuck at home with your families, and, you know, folks are really getting to see where those relationships stand. And, you know, you see a lot of folks moving out. So, right. You know, it's been really important to, if you have a side hustle or, you know, you might as well at this point. Because I mean, again, we're all at home, and we're all kind of going through the same thing. So this would kind of be the best time to try it out, I think.
Facts.
I think people are they might be a little bit more open to seeing what you're talking about.
That's true. You don't never know until you take the shot. So
that's true. Absolutely. And why not now? Everything else is changing. Why not now?
That's true. So just out of curiosity, just so our listeners will know, where can they go and pick up your mask, your T-shirt, you know, the Zohan Sanitizer that's coming next week?
I need to do some sanitizer. I do need to do some sanitizer. Everything is at Zo35. Everything is ZO, the number 3, HREE, the number 5, IVE, and that's .com. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Hit me up. I normally do respond, you know, unless you on some wild shit.
Facts.
That just reminded me though, I don't know why when you said the website, it clicked in my head. That's what I want to talk to you about. Mm-hmm. You really have had a career where it's been about the long game, it seems as though. You know what I mean? It's like you've been making stuff forever. You was giving away stuff even back in the day, like with the Just Visitings. And people still come back to you like, are you going to do another one? And you're like, nope. But like, talk to us about the idea of the long game.
It's a very cliche thing where it's, you know, it's the marathon, not the sprint, which is very true. And, you know, it comes with just even what we talked about as far as like putting out whole albums, not reaching for a hit, not doing anything that doesn't seem genuine, being a true and pure artist that's 100% independent. And, you know, when I say that we do what we feel and we do it our way and I do it my way and that type of thing, I mean that to my heart, and I will take that to my grave. You know, and to me, that's all part of the long game. I'm not living for, you know, making music for a show that's a hit. Like I'm just trying to make music for a show, and, you know, hoping that show stays on for a longer period of time. and then maybe that'll cultivate and, to something else and, all that type of stuff. But, I know that, I'm not a household name. So I've got to just make sure that whatever I put out is bulletproof. I got to make sure that my albums have no skips in them. So that, once I'm long gone, like that music and folks, they be like, yo, man, like he really did put in work and it was really good and it was really quality. And, even as far as like, merch and stuff like that, you order from me, like that stuff getting sent out same or next day. Like that's still long game mentality. That's not just, let me just do it for you and you and you. Like this is for everybody. And it's about building people's confidence in your name, so that when they see you put something out, they automatically have to have it. And that means, first and foremost with music, of course. So if they see me involved in someone's music or some show's music or, a score, they're like, yo, I just need to watch this movie because I know he's involved in it. And that's all about that to me encompasses like building that long game so that, folks just kind of know that whatever you are involved with, like they need to have it in their lives. And that's, always been from day one for me, like that's always been a goal of mine, just to stay consistent. Like everything that you do is consistent.
Bro, you definitely have done that.
Yes.
For real.
Thank you, man.
Because one thing I was thinking about this, because I try to think about what I know about an artist, and what I think I love about what you do is that, like, I think you've already said it. It's like you are in that. You know what I'm saying? It's like I see your Detroit roots in your music. Like there's whether it's the hip hop sound and stuff, whether it's that Detroit tech sound and stuff, whether it's house sound and stuff. There's definitely you master for me like that 80s R&B vibe, like for real. And I think that's the word I was going to use. Like, I think I even said this to you before on social media. It's like you make straight up cookout music, like stuff that you just want to ride to in the summer. And it's like, I know that's you, and I think that's so dope. But I'm like, I always wonder, is there like an intention in that, or is that just you vibing and letting out what you are?
More the latter. It's not really intentional. It's just, that's just what comes out sometimes. Perfect example, like we talked about Time Loop earlier. Mm-hmm. Time Loop was something that I wanted for Forefront. Like I did that track.
And it sounds like it.
For Forefront. Like that was that was a joint that was for the album. And the cats from Sherman Showcase, Diallo and Bashir, they asked for some music, and we sent them a bunch of music, and they picked out Time Loop was like one of the first ones that they picked out. Wow. And I was like, damn, man. And I'm it's like, damn, I want to be greedy and have that for the album, but Tay is like, yo, man, they paying us for this. And I'm like, okay. So, that snowballs into like, us working with Neo, and Neo, like that was just super crazy because he fit perfectly on that song. And I was like, word up. Like I was very, very short-minded on that one. But so then to replace that, I think intentionally I did replace this one with Love Up, which, I was like, okay, I need to replace. I even use the same drum, just a quick secret. But like, just to replace that, it was missing that feel good 80s clean, bright, sunny ride out, cookout type music. And that was what moved it. So it worked out in both instances, I would say very, very well. But other than that, man, like, it's just, this is what comes out, man. I grew up off of Shalimar was my favorite group growing up.
Wow. And
that was like the first group that I had to myself, where it wasn't my mother's group, it wasn't my father's group, because I love the Temptations, that all Earth, Wind and Fire, Isleys, James Brown. These are people who I got from my parents, but like here in Shalimar, that was like me. That was me. And then Shalimar into a couple years later, of course, right into hip hop. which was also, that was a full genre that was mine at that point. So anything that comes out, like you said, with hip hop stuff, listening and obsessing over JD stuff, later on in life, in high school and college, and, meeting him one time and, just bugging out over his drums and, trying to figure out, like, with his formula, like, he's got the hard drums with melodic stuff over top of it. And I'm like, yo, this is really, really crazy. I mean, Tribe did it, but Tribe did it from, to me, a New York perspective, whereas JD did it from a Detroit perspective. So I'm like, really, really honed in. And I'm just like, this makes perfect sense because Detroit is funk and it's also melodic. So makes perfect sense. And, it really touched me. And it was crazy because I was just listening to Rough Draft last night and even tweeted a quote from Reckless Driving. So, I mean, I still consider myself a student, another thing of another long game thing is never to plateau. I never want to do that. I never want someone to say, he makes the same album, or, I don't need to get this album because I got the last album, and, they probably sound the same.
Right.
I've seen artists like that, and I don't want to go down that path. So, it's just
you definitely don't. Real talk.
Word. Thank you. And that's, another reason why I'm kind of breaking off in the EPs this time. It's just like, okay, let me make sure I'm doing something different. Just to keep it, because artists never want to stay the same. Like, we always want to be kinetic in what we do.
As a producer, do you still go crate digging for rare samples and stuff like that?
Yes. Not as much anymore. But I would just do it before I even started making music. I would do that for fun. When I was in college, in Bowling Green, Kentucky, I would sometimes solo, sometimes me and one of my homeboys would drive down to Nashville about an hour south on 65 and go to Tower Records and go to Pack Rats and, just dig through the dollar bin and see what we find. And, that's probably half of my vinyl collection right now is stuff from that time, and, coming back home and still doing the same thing. And, I read the liner notes as a real thing. Like, that's me opening the CD case, popping it in and sitting back like this as it's playing, reading through, seeing what samples used, who produced what, who played what, and then, try to connect it with, this and that. And then, taking it from there. I would nerd out on samples, man. Like, I would create a Word doc of samples and shit I needed to find. Like, yo, okay, all right, this is that. Like, really, 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 really nerd out on it. Like, I haven't really done it a lot here lately. But it's still, it still creates the same feeling. Like, if I'm now when we're in a grocery store, they playing our shit now. So right. You be in a grocery store and and all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, what's that from? What's that from? Like, you standing with somebody, yo, what I hear that in? And it's still the same. It's still the same feeling, like the goosebumps and, all of that stuff. So I don't think that will ever discontinue.
Man, we appreciate you, man. Like I say, even taking time out your schedule to even be a part of this, and just dropping the gems and the knowledge for just people just tuning in, listening and stuff. So for the young musicians out there, is there anything that you would recommend, or you tell them to do, tell them not to do right now, or tell them get off your tail and go do it right now?
I think for young musicians, it would just be to stay consistent again. And that's not only with just business, but your instrument. Know your instrument, learn your instrument. Another thing I can say that I've done here in quarantine and just being at the house is, you back to being able to practice again a lot. I've gotten kind of nice on the guitar. So it's that was my weakest instrument, and, it's come up a notch. So, just believe what we tell you, trust me. and what I used to tell some of my students is, you know, sometimes being in front of the camera isn't always the best place for you. Sometimes, you know, you can go study under an engineer and go study under, you know, someone else who works at the studio, someone who works at a venue as far as like, you know, doing sound or lighting and things like that. Cause that's a whole nother bag. How about that?
Yes,
like engineers get the bag and nobody knows what they look like. Like there's a lot of people, Bob Power, one of the most famous hip hop engineers of all time. A lot of people don't even know what that guy looks like, but I mean, just he's been everywhere. So, you know, it's like if staying consistent is a problem, if practicing is a problem, if, you know, your instrument is not your passion, you know, there's always other avenues within music that you can take and still be just as good and just as prominent and, you know, get just as much shine as you want. You know, there's so many different musical avenues, man.
I feel like you just quietly dropped another gem because now that you say your guitar chops is up, now we're going to see you at Afro Punk running around on stage and stuff like that.
That's the only instrument that I play that I have not gigged on. So one of these days, maybe that's my 2022 is the gig on the guitar.
Oh, I'm there for that because I could just imagine what kind of pedals and everything you would have for that. Woo.
I would need them to make me sound like something.
Yeah. Well, again, man, we thank you and we appreciate you. And for all of you all that are tuned in, make sure you go to the website, buy the mask, buy the t-shirts, buy the hand sanitizer when it comes out, buy all the records. Make sure you be on the lookout for that Tall Black Guy and Cy Smith collaboration that's coming up, both of those records. And this has been another episode of Backroom Beats. My name is Lamar Harris.
Yo, I'm CJ Conrad.
And we're hanging out with the legendary Zoe. So until next time, stay blessed, stay safe, wear the mask. Peace.